a faffing around video really on strawberries. So I've been faffing around with strawberry jam, so I wanted to make like a bit more of a strawberry compote. The strawberry jam that I originally wanted to make and the strawberry jam that I've ended up making are worlds apart really. So my original idea was to make a loose jam with whole strawberries in it, but I got sidetracked with wanting to get whole strawberries suspended in the jam, which wasn't my first kind of idea that I wanted to do. It was more like a half jam, half compote that I wanted to kind of make. So strawberries were cheap, so with the pound of punnet. So there's about 850 grams worth of strawberries here. There were some big, some small, so I've cut the big ones in half. And what we're going to do is just going to put 100 grams worth of sugar over them and just kind of mix that up a little bit. And then we're going to just cook them in the oven for, I don't know, 20 minutes. And we're going to see some moisture will be drawn out of them. And then I think what we'll do is then we'll take that liquid that kind of comes out of them and have a look at the strawberries when they're cooked. I don't want to cook them too much, so maybe just doing it something like that. But you can see that the sugar's wanting to draw the moisture out already. So just a bit of foil on the top, and then in the oven at 125 degrees, just to steam them slightly and to cook them and to draw some moisture out. And then what we'll do is we'll take that liquid, we'll strain them off, take the liquid, reduce that down, add this cheap strawberry jam to the liquid, and then boil it so it gets back to like a jam consistency, and then put the strawberries in that jam and then see kind of what happens when we leave it overnight. And I think we should get like a nice compote-y, jammy-ish kind of consistency. We've had about an hour. I will fix the oven door at one stage. Oh, I still got something in the oven, so I can't turn it off. So, to soften, and we'll let quite a lot of juices come out of them. So I think that's about right. That's about right, I think. Can we see that? Yeah. So I can't do it now. I'm going to go out. I'm going to go swimming. So we'll let those cool down in the liquid with the cover on, and then we'll reduce it down when I come back. Yeah, that's what we'll do. We'll let it cool down, and then we'll strain it off, because they're a bit soft now, but they'll firm up a bit as they cool. Strain off the liquid, reduce it down, and then add. Something strange is happening on the camera. And then add the strawberry jam. It's easier to reduce liquids down rather than a thicker liquid. So that's a thin liquid, so that will reduce. We can boil that and reduce it down quicker and easier than if we were to put the jam in at the same time. Just makes things a little bit easier. And then as it reduces down and there's not much left, then we'll add the strawberry jam to it, and then we'll reboil that up, and then we'll add the strawberries back into that. So strawberries are cool, so a little bit firmer than they were. Let's just pour off that liquid. Could make a jelly out of that. I wonder if that would work. I wonder if we could set it with gelatin and then put those strawberries in. Probably. So, as I said, it's easier to reduce this liquid down first and then add the jam into it. It's only cheap jam. I'm not, obviously if you use better quality jam, it will be better, but I'm only faffing around. So, and also you kind of, it's a smart price stuff. They've changed the labelling on our stuff. And there's this huge to do about it's all bright yellow now, and people are unhappy about it because they don't want people knowing that they're buying cheap food. Personally, what do you care? Why do people care what other people think? But anyway, you shouldn't do. Comparison is the thief of joy, in my opinion. So you shouldn't compare yourself to anyone else. But anyway, so sorry, I'm just doing something on the back as well. So reduce this down because it's if we were to add that jam to that, what would happen? It would it'd take. We couldn't boil it down as reduce it down as quickly. It would want to go thick and start bubbling and spitting everywhere. So it's much easier and more cost effective just to reduce that down first, and then we'll add the jam to that, and then heat it up, and then all we are really like just heating it up. It won't take long, and then we'll use all that. It's all, you know, as jam goes, it's all right. You know, it's glucose, fructose, syrup, strawberries, sugar, acidity regulators, citric acid, sodium something or other, a gelling agent, in brackets pectin, prepared with 35 grams worth of fruit per 100 grams, total amount of sugar 62 grams per 100 grams worth of what we call it, of jam. It's all right, do you know. It's alright for cooking, it's alright on your toast. I'm not going to be snobby about things like that at all. Obviously nicer to make your own. So, but anyway, I'm getting off track as always. So this is now boiling, just need to keep an eye on it. And when it's reduced, so just before it starts getting to that stage where it wants to evaporate completely and burn the pan, we just need to catch it and put in that jam. But when we're there, we'll do that. Right. This didn't take long at all. It's thickened up. So the slight danger is now you'll see the way it bubbles. So there's a chance that it's going to boil over. So we just need to be a little bit more careful. It's going to rise up the side of the pan. And also the heat from it's going to get up the side of the pan and it's going to burn around the outside, which is not what we want. So as you can see, you kind of think, we need to be careful of this. So it's about the right time to add the jam to it. I would like to take it down a bit further, but what's going to happen as you can see that it's thickened up quite a lot, and it'll probably set like a jam would that. But by the time, as we heat this jam up, there will be more liquid boiled off anyway, so it will be thicker by the time the jam's heated up. So, and you'll kind of see as we kind of go. So that in there, like that. Always use a spatula, get as much out as possible. And then just melt that jam in there, like that. I mean, I suppose I could have bought strawberries and made jam like that, but they're about 40p, something like that. So I could have made my own jam with bought extra strawberries, but it probably would have cost me more than 40p. Certainly worth it by the time I put sugar in as well. So this is just a quick way of faffing around. So don't boil it too hard, because we don't want to burn the sides of the pan and what's in there. And it looks like the right kind of ratio of jam to thingamajig. So when the jam has completely become running, we've got rid of all those lumps, then we'll add that in there. So we'll pause, and when we're at that stage, that's when we'll turn it back on. Right, jam is all melted now, but let's just boil it a bit and get it thicker. We'll drive off more moisture. There's going to be some moisture that comes out of those strawberries, and there's already a bit wanting to collect in the bottom of there, so let's chuck that in as well. Hopefully it won't. We'll be able to get it in. Probably not. Let's get a spoon. So the strawberries are going to leach out liquid, which is going to make the jam thinner, so we might as well boil off as much liquid from the jam as we can now without burning the jam, so it will be thicker. you can, once you know about sugar, there's boiling point for sugar, and you have to boil things to make boiled sweets, and you boil the sugar up with the fruit in it and the flavourings up to a certain temperature, and then it'll form into a solid sugar when it gets to a certain temperature. And all that really is that you've just driven off all the water, because water boils at 100 degrees. So to get something to boil more than 100 degrees, you have to boil off all the water in something, otherwise it'll never boil above 100 degrees. Well, not strictly true. Pressure cookers cook at a higher temperature, will boil water higher than 100 degrees, and also kind of depends on atmospheric pressure as well. So, like water will boil at a lower temperature the higher you go up, I think. Or is it a lower temperature? I forget. But anyway, so we're just trying to drive off as much moisture as possible without burning the jam, and then any kind of water that leaches out of those as we put them into there won't affect it too much. But let's see what these taste like. Let's taste that one, because that's it's a bit small. Alright. It's coming towards the end of the season, so they're not the best quality. I nearly said sausages. They're not really the best quality strawberries anymore. And they were cheap, but we're only faffing about. So I'll take this down as much as I dare, and then we'll add the strawberries. So I'll just pause again, so it'll stop me from waffling. Right, so I daren't take it any further than that. So if we were to wait, we'll be able to see how much liquid we've lost. So we've certainly lost more liquid than was actually in the jar in the first place. So it'll be thicker, and you can tell with the bubbles. So they bubble as you get rid of more moisture, more water. It bubbles in a different way. So that's not that far off burning, because I've burnt things in the past. So, and you can tell with the bubbles. And you can tell the way it smells as well. It's just a case of moving it around. And if you're going to use a spatula, it needs to be a heat-proof one. So I don't know what that gets up to, but there we go. So that looks like it's going to be nice and thick. So turned it off and I shouldn't have done. But anyway, let's get these strawberries in, and then back up to a quick boil. And then up to a quick boil. We don't want to move them around too much, damage them too much. We just want to coat them. It's just a case. If I'd have done it straight away, they would have been still warm. But it's just they've been out for a couple of hours, cooling down, and it's just a case if you just want to kill any kind of bugs that are on the outside, or yeast or bacteria. But that should. See, it looks nice and thick. So I'm going to put a lid over that. I don't think we won't get much evaporation. And because we've cooked them slightly, they're holding together a little bit better. So yeah, I'm going to put a lid on overnight. It's that time of year when there's flies and things, and you don't want. I'm going to leave it in the pan. I'm not going to pour it into anything else. I'll probably pour it into something tomorrow. I think this is going to be okay. So that's about that. Everything will have heated up on the outside. Any kind of yeast or bacteria or bugs that have gotten on the outside will have died with all the temperature of that jam, and then we know it's going to be safe until tomorrow morning. So I'm going to leave it out overnight and cool. With a lid on, it'll be fine. There's probably so much sugar in there that it wouldn't go off anyway, not kind of overnight anyway. So although if it's cold before I go to bed, I'll put it in the fridge, but we'll see how that looks in the morning. But I have high hopes for it. Right, it's cooled. I didn't put it in the fridge overnight, I left it out. So it's a bit loose. Around the edges you can see that that's all still jammy, but the rest of it, it's a bit liquidy, which is not what I want. So let's strain out the strawberries. We'll reduce the liquid part down. Ooh, what's that? Don't know. So we'll use a slotted spoon. We'll have a taste of the strawberries as well. I'm sure they'll be nice. I don't think they'll give up much. Much more liquid will come out of them if we heat them in the liquid again. I think this will work. It's just a faff though, isn't it? I don't think there's just an easy way of doing this. Just don't think there's an easy way of doing it. So, that's a bit of change on there. So, spatula, let's get the bits of jam off the outside. Oh, okay. Maybe it just... Let's see. So much for a short video, eh? So, it's a bit of a faff. There's no easy way to do this. There's no easy way. Got a bit of juice in there as well. So back up to the boil, relatively gently, and then boil off some of that moisture. Emulsify the jam into, so it's no longer emulsify, because emulsify means mix in fat and a oil or fat and a liquid, which is not what we want. Well, liquid is in water, so we don't want to emulsify. We just want to boil those lumps out of it, and then we'll add the strawberries back to it. How do the strawberries taste? Nice, but it should. This process should be the one that works. So, you see me boiling things already in this video. So, we'll just boil it, reduce it, add the strawberries back in, and then we'll see how it is. So it wants to be as boiling the same kind of, with the same kind of bubbles that it was when we were thickening it before. It wants to be that kind of thing, but I'll show you when we're at that stage and when we add the strawberries back. Right, that seems about right. It's not going to get that much thicker, it's just in the danger of burning. So there's a little bit of juice in the bottom there, but I'm not bothered about that. So those into there. That's been washed up. That juice can go in. It's going to thin it down, but it'll be fine. I don't want to waste it. Heat the strawberries slightly. Not much, don't want to break them up. Break them up. Just to kind of, if anything settled on the outside, like a bit of yeast or a little bit of bacteria, but the heat of that jam will have killed off anything on the outside instantaneously. But there we go. Right, so that is fine. And we'll leave that until it cools down. We'll taste actually. That's certainly a vast improvement on the cheap jam. So let that go cool, and it should be exactly how I want it. Let's have a look. Oh, we need another light on. That's a bit better. Oh, look at that. That's set particularly well, hasn't it? That's set particularly well. So all my faffing with macerating strawberries for a week, I could have just done that process. So that's alright, isn't it? That's kind of the consistency of the original jam that I wanted to kind of create. I need to do that again now, don't I? So I need to do this again and see what happens if I put it in jars. That's delicious. That's delicious. So we need to do this again. I mean, I suppose my macerating strawberries in sugar for a week was fun and taught me something, but this is something else. Okay. And the strawberries are softer. Well, there we go. Anyway, that's exactly how I want it to be. That's exactly how I want it to be. It's a little bit thinner under there. So we need to try it again and put it under and put it in a jar and see what happens. Because it's okay. So it's thick around the outside. So it's stuck to the outsides of the pan, like there. So that's really thick, like that. But then it's watery there. So it's not consistent. It's not consistent in the way it is. However, it is delicious. Could have done with a bit of lemon juice in. Do you know if you were served that with scones and clotted cream, you'd think it was amazing. Yeah, I'm really happy with that. I'll do it again and we'll see if we can put it in jars, but we know we need to reduce the jam down twice. So we need to reduce the cooking liquid down, and with the jam to get that thick, and then we put the strawberries in that, leave it overnight, and then we need to strain off that juice and reduce that down again, and then we get the consistency we want. It's a faff, but I don't know how you'd get that result with those strawberries and that taste doing it any other way, which is what I want. So, okay, that's kind of quite interesting. So I'm really happy, but just need to do it again next week and see what happens when we put it in a jar.